shut all the way. Hey, how's everyone doing today? I hope you're having a great day and doing well. I'm really excited to bring you this week's podcast. I'd like to talk about discipline today and what that looks like as a young person, and maybe some quick tips to improve your daily disciplines. Discipline is such an important topic to discuss because having discipline or lacking discipline will actually affect every area of your life. Not just your spiritual walk with God, but also your career, your schoolwork, your family. Even your own health will be affected by having discipline or lacking discipline. So before I go any further, some of you might be asking, what does it mean to be disciplined? What does discipline even mean? What does it have to do with me? To put it simply, discipline just means having a consistent control over your flesh. Discipline means getting up early before work or before school and spending 30 minutes a day praying. Discipline is setting one special day a week aside to fast. Discipline looks like, spending a set amount of time each day to study the Word of God. But on a less spiritual side, kind of more on the physical side of things, discipline could mean watching what you eat. Discipline could mean running 1 mile consistently at the same time every day. Discipline could mean drinking only 1 cup of coffee a day. The most important aspect of discipline is not what you're doing, but how consistently you are doing it. For example, running 2 or 3 miles every now and then when you feel like it is actually not as impressive as running 1 mile consistently every day. That takes discipline. Consistency is the key to discipline in your life. I genuinely believe that it is healthier for you spiritually to pray 15 minutes a day consistently and regularly rather than spending 2 or 3 hours in prayer every couple of months. It's better for us spiritually to stay consistent, to be disciplined. Just as it is healthier for you to consistently eat better rather than to spend 2 or 3 weeks a year on a really strict diet, it's the exact same way spiritually. It is much better for you to fast and pray and study on a consistent and regular basis than it is for you to go all out, but only for 1 or 2 weeks throughout the entire year. I'll give you kind of a personal example. When I was around 14 or 15 years old, God really touched my life at a youth conference, and I really felt the call to pray every day. And so I came up with this schedule, and I think it was around 2 to 2.5 hours a day. I'm like, God, I feel called to pray. I'm going to go all out. I'm going to pray 2 hours a day. And I talked to my dad about it just to get his opinion and his advice. And what he told me is that he thinks it would be a better idea for me to spend 15 or 20 minutes a day in prayer consistently at the same time each day. And, I was only 14 or 15, so I thought, what does my dad really know? He's just been a pastor for 25 years. I think I know better. I'm going to try and pray for 2 or 3 hours a day. What I realized after one day is that's not realistic, and I don't even think I made it 1 or 2 days on that schedule. My dad knew when he told me that consistency was actually more important than how much I prayed. It was more important just to be consistent and regular, and also to be realistic. It wasn't super realistic to think that a 15-year-old guy could spend 2 or 3 hours a day in prayer. It was more realistic to think maybe I could spend 15 or 20 minutes a day. How crazy would it be for a person to think that they could run an entire marathon when they can't even run 1 mile a day consistently? Why would it be any different spiritually? In his book, Andy Stanley wrote a book called The Principle of the Path. It's really, really good. I'd recommend it to anybody. It's a super quick read. But one quote that really sticks out to me, he says quite a bit. He says, direction, not intention, determines destination. What does he mean by this? You can have all the best intentions in the entire world, but if you are not taking real steps towards that goal, it's not going to make any difference. Let me give you a quick example to illustrate what this looks like. So say that a young person is at a youth service and feels a call of God on his life to fast. That's awesome, and that's great. I'm super excited for this young person. God clearly moved on their heart. The enemy is never going to try and convince someone to pray or fast, so it's God. But this young person is so pumped up about it that he reads all about fasting. He talks to people about fasting. He approaches his pastor and his youth pastor about this great call of God on his life to fast. But until that young person actually begins to take steps towards fasting consistently, all that he's doing is just dreaming or having some goal that he's never going to be able to meet. Direction, not intention, determines destination. That young person that I had just told you about had all the best intentions in the entire world, but discipline requires action, not just good intentions. You could have all the best intentions to get up early in the morning and pray, or do better with your schoolwork, or give to missions on a monthly basis, or maybe even get in shape or start running, or it could even be to get out of toxic relationships in your life. But until you actually start making steps in that direction, all it is just intentions, and it's not going to get you anywhere. In my own life, discipline is something I've definitely struggled with. I'm not naturally an organized person, so discipline definitely didn't come easy. But I do have a little bit of advice to share with you that I've kind of learned along the way. The first thing I would recommend to anyone who's trying to improve their daily disciplines or their consistency is start small. Start with something that's realistic. If you can barely pray for 30 minutes at a prayer meeting at your church, it's probably not a good idea to try and spend an hour and a half or 2 hours a day before school praying. It would be a better idea to be realistic and spend 15 or 20 minutes a day before class praying. That would make more sense. It would be more realistic. I encourage you to start somewhere small if you're having trouble with discipline. If you feel the call of God on your life to fast, instead of maybe trying to do a 30-day fast, start with just fasting one meal a week. Be honest with yourself. Be realistic with what you can honestly do. The second piece of advice I would offer you is having discipline in your life isn't strictly spiritual. Sometimes the best way to improve your discipline is try waking up at a consistent time every day. Instead of sleeping till 10:30 or 11 or even 12, maybe set an alarm clock and start waking up at a consistent time every week. 9:30, 8:30, 9, whatever that might be for you. Try sticking to an exercise schedule. Spend 30 minutes a day running or exercising, but make sure that it's consistent. That's a great way to improve discipline in your life. Some of us might need to try sticking to a diet. That would be a great way to improve discipline. Whatever it might be, start taking steps in the right direction. Let your intentions meet action. The last thing I would encourage you today is don't be afraid to reach out to the spiritual leadership in your life and let them know that you're trying to improve your discipline and see if there's anything they can do to help you. I'm sure your youth pastor, your pastor would have no problem checking up on you from time to time and seeing how you've been doing, in your consistent daily disciplines. I encourage you to start taking steps today to improve your consistency and your discipline in your spiritual life. Thank you so much. I hope this was a blessing and encouragement today. Like I say all the time, don't be afraid to reach out if you ever need anything, or if you'd like to give me kind of some recommendations on future topics to talk about. Don't be afraid to reach out. I'm always available. Thank you so much. Have a great week, and we'll see you next Monday.